Just came from a house the other day. Beautiful house, spotless. I went in the garage and boom, mold spores. There was mold everywhere.
Since COVID, waiving the home inspection has become something of a trend. It started as a way to win bidding wars, but unfortunately, it's stuck. It's actually one of the worst financial decisions that a homeowner can make, and my guest today will tell us why. Welcome back to Own It. I'm Angie Hicks, co-founder of Angi. On this show, we talk about what it really takes to own your home without it owning you. On today's episode, we're sitting down with Joe Mazza, better known as Home Inspector Joe. He's one of the most trusted voices in home inspection. He has his own TV show, a massive social media following, and follows one simple rule. He inspects every house like his family's moving into it. Joe shares with us what the home inspector actually sees that you don't, what questions you should ask before you hire one, and what every homeowner should do this weekend. Here's my conversation with Home Inspector Joe. Joe, it's great to have you on the show. This is by far one of my favorite topics. I think home inspections are not talked about enough. And so I am excited to get to the bottom of it with you because I think there is a lot to learn. So let's kick things off in that, you've been in construction for 25 years in New York City. How'd you end up switching to home inspection?
I took everything I learned and I threw it into it. One big hat. So working in the city for that long, the grind was real. Can't deny that. Waking up at 4 a.m. and then hopping on that train, getting home at 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock at night, and only getting paid for the 8 hours. And having my bosses always say, work harder for less money. And that just stuck in my head year after year. And I would always do side work. I always had something going on the side to make ends meet because, I like to have a car, motorcycle, vacations. And so I wanted to enjoy more life, but I can't enjoy so much life when you're working all the time. That being said, I was laying in bed. My wife and I were watching TV. And my cousin called me up and he goes, "Hey, can you talk for a minute?" I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "I just had my place inspected." I go, "What do you mean inspected?" He goes, "I had my apartment inspected." And I'm like, "Oh." And I think this light bulb, they shine, right? It just shined. And I'm like, "I'll call you tomorrow." And that was it. I went online. I stayed up all night. I ended up finding a school right here. It was actually close to my house. I went there, went into work the next day, and I said, "Hey, boss, I need 3 weeks leave." And if he said no, I was quitting.
We have too much work.
But he didn't, he said, "Okay, do what you have to do. I'm doing this to better myself." Fast forward, I did the school and I passed the test. I flew by it and I got my first job. One job led to 2, 3, 4, 5. And within a year, I was making more money as a home inspector than I was working in a city for 25 years. And The one day I was telling my boss, "Hey, I'm going on vacation in 2 weeks, just following up with you." And he knew about this for 6 months. And he goes, "No, you can't go away. We need you." And I said, No, I'm going away. The trip is booked." He goes, "You're not going away." I said, "No problem." Took my hard hat off, my glasses, and my vest. I spun it on the table, and I walked right out and never went back. And that was the end of my construction career in New York City.
Wow. I love a good entrepreneurial story, and you've got one, that's for sure. So I love that. So I think home inspection is just such an interesting part because I think a lot of times people don't really understand the value of a home inspection. Let's talk about that a little bit, if you don't mind. It's like, because I think it's something they think is required when you buy a house. Sometimes it's optional, but don't really understand what the real value in the inspection is.
Huge value. It's the most money the average person is going to spend in their lifetime. And then they're waiving inspections left and right now. It's still since COVID, once COVID hit, that was it. People were like, "I want the house. I don't care." And they move in. And then they call Home Inspector Joe and they're like, "Hey, Joe, I bought a house. I'm having problems now. Can you come and inspect it?" I'm like, "You made the biggest mistake of your life, number one. And to be honest with you, like, you're already angry. I don't even know if I want to go in your house right now, But people they're still waiving them now. And it's wild. It's wild. Even if the home inspector is not even good, at least he's going to find a few things that maybe you wouldn't have known about.
What do you recommend as the best approach for thinking about the home inspector step in the buying process? When do you start thinking about the home inspection?
Before even thinking about buying a house, do your due diligence, get your ducks in a row before you get to that point. So you're not going 100 miles an hour looking for the right person to come there and take care of your house. Definitely, you got to do your due diligence on the home inspector. Ask 1,000,001 questions and get their background, et cetera, et cetera. Because if a home inspector, nothing is wrong with a librarian, but if a home inspector was a librarian for 25 years and then said, hey, I want to become a home inspector, So number one, ask them if they're licensed. Ask them what their background is. Once again, What is your background? How long have you been an inspector? How many inspections do you do a year? Do you get on the roof of the house? A lot of people around here don't get on the roof of the house, and it kills me. They don't even use a drone. They look with binoculars from the ground and they say, hey, the part I can't see, you need to get a roofer here. That's not how things operate. You have to be able to get it. Do you go in the crawl space? How long does an inspection take? When will I get the report for the home inspection? Is it you? Is it another person that's going to show up? Because a lot of times people call me and they're like, Joe, are you going to be there? Yes, it's going to be me. The turnaround is really big. And are you an alarmist? Don't be an alarmist. You have to walk and educate people through the job. You can't just go in and say, oh everything is done. That's it. Because you don't know what their intentions.
Yeah, because no house is perfect, right?
None.
I think another point, how should you approach the home inspection as a homeowner? I think, when I think about it, I always encourage homeowners to actually attend the home inspection, because I view the home inspection as an incredible learning experience.
Yes. I always ask my clients to come. And if they can't, they're like, well, I can't be there for 3 hours. No problem. You don't need to be there for, the bedrooms, the bathrooms and the little stuff like that. That's just all easy stuff. I want you there for the garage where there's big safety issues that happen. I want you there for the entire basement and all the mechanicals for the house itself. And if you can stay, once I get down out of the attic, I want to be able to show you all of this stuff. Even though it's in the report, I want to show you everything. So when you get the report, you say, oh yeah, Joe said it was over here. You said it was over here. Having the client there is huge.
So you said garage, so tell me what, you say there's tons of danger in the garage. Tell me what are the dangers in the garage? Why the garage is one of the top ones. I always say water is your home's worst enemy. So I was surprised that you blushed over the bathroom.
Yeah. Well, yeah, water is your biggest enemy. But, typically in a bathroom, you're not going to have all that mold unless they don't have a fan inside to exhaust the hot, damp air. But the garage, you have the garage door that comes down and goes up and down. You have the photo eyes on each side. You want to make sure that they work. If someone walks in front of it, that the door is going to go back up. You want to make sure the down pressure, if the door hits you, a car, a child, it's not going to crush anyone. It's automatically going to go back up. Then you have the door to the house. You want to make sure that's a fire-rated, self-closing door on top of it all. You park a car in the garage, a car, God forbid, it catches fire, or you leave the car running in the garage, or you start the car while you're in the house forgetting it's in the garage. It actually recently happened over here. No one got hurt. Have a smoke detector, carbon monoxide detector, heat sensor in the garage, and any openings in the garage and the ceiling and the walls that goes to the livable space, they have to be closed off using a fire-rated product. It acts as a firebox. If your car catches fire, it stays in that area right there. It doesn't get into your house as fast. And a dehumidifier in the garage. I always tell people, keep that humidity 50% or less. I just came from a house the other day, beautiful house, spotless. I went in the garage and boom, mold spores. And you couldn't see them unless you took your flashlight on the side and you shined it over all the walls, but there was mold everywhere.
Huh. Interesting. I hadn't thought about the garage being a spot with lots of mold. That's interesting.
There's a lot. There's so much with a home. And I tell people all the time, there's so much with a home. I mean, it never ends. It really doesn't ever end.
Yeah. It's it can be a bit of a labor of love, right? You're going in and kind of knowing the things that you need to know. I think one of the things that we talked about in the prep was knowing where your main water shutoff valve is. I use this as a tip all of the time because we had a real life experience at our house where our house has, which I wouldn't have designed this way. It has the bathroom, the half bath on the main floor shares a wall with the garage. Yeah, you see where this is headed, right? You know where this is going. pull into the garage, slip the foot off the brake, hits the accelerator, bumps the wall, and all of a sudden there's water flowing everywhere in the house, right?
Yeah.
Luckily, we knew where the main shutoff valve is and could act quickly, so it didn't turn into a flood in the entire house. But if you don't know where that's at, that's where minutes matter. So I think that is the one thing I tell people. If you don't know where it's at, you need to stop right now and go find out.
Yeah, no, it's huge. And I bring people down. And as soon as I get into the utility room, and I was like, I don't care if you don't listen to me while I'm down here, but you are going to listen, focus, and observe exactly that pipe and that valve. Yeah. That's your main incoming water valve. So if a pipe breaks, like you said, anywhere, you shut it off. I had a client like 5 months ago, like going, Joe, a water pipe broke in my house. Where's the main incoming shut off? And I'm like, I told you where it was. It's on my report.
It's different in every house, right?
Yeah. She goes, I go, it's on my report. She goes, I don't know where your report is. I go, it's in your email. And I'm like, put me on FaceTime now. And then she brought me downstairs and I'm like, that valve, shut that valve off right there, that valve. And then everything worked out, you know.
You say when you go into a house, you think about every inspection as if you're going to move your own family in. You know, tell me about that mindset and why that is important and how it's helped you build your business.
It's simple for me. You know, I want to make sure my family is safe. And that's the bottom line. My wife, my daughter, and my pup. You know, that's the goal. If I walk up to every house and I start the inspection with the fact that, me saying, Joe, you're moving in this house here. This is your house with your family. You can't go wrong. You cannot go wrong. Everything is going to fall into place the way it should. And it works. It literally works every single time. But yeah, I started that from my first job. You know, I'm going to inspect this house like I'm moving my family into it. And it's worked.
What is, like, I mean, you've looked at probably thousands of houses, right? You go into a house, like, what's the first thing that draws your eye when you walk into a house? You know, what's the first thing you look for? So you're walking up. What do you see?
Well, as soon as I pull in the driveway, if you don't take care of your lawn, your house is dirty. It works, right? It's like I pull up to a house and your lawn is not maintained and there's weeds growing on the house and there's debris in the yard. It's going to be a rough one. And I already know it. And the guard is up, you know, immediately. If there's trees growing out of your gutters, that's another thing. Like, here we go. You know, my gosh, that's not normal. Like, that's not supposed to happen. If the screens,
not a garden.
Yeah. Like the screens are hanging off your house, the windows, you know, if you can't maintain the visual portion of your home, the inside is going to be a train wreck. And that's exactly what it was yesterday. And I saw that and I was like, here we go. But then once I get inside, first thing I do is I smell. It's the first thing I do is my sense of smell, because my sense of smell is through the roof, and we can get into why that happened. That'll be next. But my sense of smell, and I'm the Mad Sniffer, that's my nickname, is unbelievable. I walk into a home, and I'll tell you right now, if that filter's been changed, not been changed, if they have a dehumidifier, no dehumidifier, what kind of pet they have, it's crazy. It's crazy. So when I walk in, I smell, then I go straight to the basement. And then that's where I start, the lower level or crawl space, whatever they have. I'm literally sniffing around, you know, with the flashlight, walking, looking for mold, any water damage, things that the clients cover up. A lot of people try and cover up. They strategically put boxes or stuff. Or if I get there and it's freshly painted in the basement, I'm like, come on, dude.
You're like, let me just scrape a little paint here.
Yeah.
All right. So how did you get the nickname?
So I had a disease in my corneas about 25 years ago where I lost my eyesight. I ended up having 2 cornea transplants and LASIK, from what I remember, I think it was like 3 to 5 times. I don't even remember. But when I lost my eyesight, in the midst of that, it was about a 1.5 year time frame, my sense of smell came in. And it was just so weird, you know. It's like they say, like someone who's blind.
They say senses, that, like yeah. Senses balance for each other.
It was wild, and I'm like, I'm like, what is that? You know, what's that smell? And it just whatever. So now it's just to the next level and above. And I'll give you an example. Before here, I came from a house. I was doing an inspection, and I go to walk into the backyard. And it was just grass and a deck, and it was a grill and whatever, nothing else outside there. And I go to the guy, I go, you have a gas leak. And he goes, what do you mean? I go, you have a gas leak. I smell gas. And he goes, I don't smell anything. You know, it's why I don't smell anything either. I'm like, okay, well, there's a gas leak. So let's keep walking. Let's find it. Well, I walked around the other side, like 20 feet, which is weird. That's kind of far. I walk around the other side and there's a little gas line going to his grill. And I lay it on the floor and I smelled it. I go, come here, smell that. And he's like, how the heck did you smell that? I'm like, it's bad. I have the most wild sense of smell. It just, everything just hits me, smacks me in the face. And they were just like, I cannot believe you just did that. I'm like, yeah.
So we need to get this fixed right now.
Yeah, like literally now.
Are there things that you found on home inspections? Are there things that you're like, this would be a deal breaker? Like, is there such a thing? Are you kind of like, hey, if there's a foundation issue, it's a no-go? Are there things that you're like, this is a house you should pass on?
Yes. First question, and if I ever ask, if whoever's watching this, and if you use me for a home inspection, if I ask you this question after I started, there's a problem. If I say, so what's your game plan after you buy this house? You're gonna have a good amount of money in the bank account. Like, I don't get personal, but you have a good amount of money in the bank account. If they're like, no, we're not gonna have anything, I'm like,
this isn't the house for you.
So if I ask that question, that's a big problem. Now, a deal breaker, I've had a few that were just like, I couldn't get out of the house. I'm like, this house is crazy, and I would tell the agent, I pull the agent aside. I'm like, look, this is a piece of, this house is horrible. So I'll pull the people like a horizontal foundation crack. That's a wrap for that. That's a huge expense, right? That's just that's a failure of the foundation wall. And I'll ask them when we go down. I'm like, you guys plan on putting an addition on this side of the house right here? And they're like, no, why are you saying that? I was like, your foundation's collapsing. I was like, so, if you put one on, that's fine because they're going to dig down and redo it and have another basement. But if not, this is a big problem you have right here. So things like that, those are been deal breakers. Because again, people buying homes, they don't have, all this money after they buy it. They just have what it is to buy the home. And then after that, they're, a lot of people, honestly, they're house poor. They're starting out, they're house poor, or they overextend themselves with the home. And, if they have a foundation crack like that, a horizontal, that's no good. And I tell people that, make sure you always have a little bit, you got to have a little buffer, unless mom and pa's got a buffer for you, but you got to have a buffer. Never overextend yourself. Recent job I did, I find all of them. I love it. I posted about this one, I was on a roof. So I pull up to the house and the roof looked great. It was black, looked shiny, the whole 9 yards. I get up there and this is why I say home inspectors get on the roof. And I get up there and it was spray painted. So I'm like, this is
spray painting the roof?
He spray painted the roof. Now there are products. Okay. There are products that it'll put a membrane, it'll put an oil on it where it brings back the flex and whatnot, and they give a warranty on it. But if you have a home inspector that doesn't get on the roof, this is the other point we're getting. So we always go back to the beginning. Why you want your home inspector to get on the roof? Now, if I didn't go on the roof, I would have said, that's a new roof. That's a newer roof. That's 5 years old, that roof. That roof looks beautiful. But you got up there and I'm like, what the heck? It's all cracks and nails popping everywhere. Then you could see then I lifted a shingle and it was brown. And I'm like, oh my God, they painted it. Yeah. And they put on there that the roof was 5-10 years old. I'm like, that roof is original to the house.
What's the strangest thing you've seen? You have got to have had some good ones.
I've seen pipes taped. I could pull up a picture right now on my phone. Pipe was taped. They used Scotch tape on a galvanized pipe, which is horrible. We hate galvanized pipes, right? But they used Scotch tape on it, and it wasn't leaking. It was box tape, but it wasn't leaking. I told my client to leave it. I said, leave it. It's fine. I'm only kidding. Strangest thing I ever found were teeth on a home inspection. And I reposted that recently and it went bonkers. My gosh, if you go on my Instagram, it's going crazy again right now. I was in a crawl space.
Oh dear.
2019. I'm in a crawl space and I hear click. I said, what the heck is this noise, man? It's like the movie Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom when he's in there and all the spiders and stuff. And I hate spiders, right? Yeah, and I'm in and I'm like...
Just going, I couldn't go to the crawl space. You lost me there, actually. Okay.
And whenever I see them, when I pull up to a house and I see those little vents in the foundation walls, I'm like, oh,
right.
Get the bodysuit. Let's go.
You're like, I'm ready.
Yeah. So anyway, I get down, I'm crawling around and I hear the crunching and I'm like, what is this? I'm like, oh my God. I look down at the flashlight and I'm like, what is that? And it was all teeth. It was all thousands of teeth throughout the entire floor.
Thousands of teeth?
Thousands. The whole floor. And I still haven't told anyone on my IG what they were. So I'm going to keep that a big secret. But it was all teeth. And I walked out of the crawl space and I went to the buyer and the real estate agent. And I was like, we got teeth, And they said, what do you mean we got teeth? I go, we got teeth, bro. That crawl space, the floor is all teeth. And they're like, no, it's not. And I go, okay, go ahead, go look. They're like, bring me one. I go, I'm not touching that stuff. Go in there and look.
Yeah. You're like, I'm going to pass on that. I'm not going back in there.
And they went in and they're like, oh, you're not kidding. And I go, yeah. Would you like to figure out what's going on here? Or are we still buying the house?
Yeah. And, are we just going to move on?
Yeah. And the buyer was like, no, I'm going to buy it. I was like, all right, do what you got to do. And I finished the inspection. It was a huge house in the water. And I finished the inspection and I went on my way, But the whole thing was teeth. It was a dentist. There was somebody down there that manufactured teeth 100 years ago.
Oh, it was like a dental lab down there.
It was the lab. And they would just take the teeth and just throw them in there. And it was literally like gravel of teeth. Gravel.
That is bizarre.
It was freaky. So teeth was the most wild find. There's nothing that even comes close to that. Nothing.
Right. That is hilarious.
Yeah.
Wow. So you call the inspection report the homeowner's Bible. What's in it most people don't know to look for?
Asbestos pipe wrap, asbestos tile, mold, droppings, termites. Termites is a big one. People don't know what termites are. But they know what they are. They don't know, how to look for them or in the wood, the damage in the wood. Those are the big ones like that. Big stuff like that, gas leaks, filter on your furnace or your AC. They don't even know that they had one. So you have to walk them through it. And I walk everybody through every job the same way, even if it's a contractor. And I'll tell them, look, I know you build houses. I'm going to talk to you like you've never owned or built or seen a house. And it's just
right. You might learn something today. Yeah.
And they do. They honestly do. Because a lot of these guys that are building homes, the reality is they have all their subs out there doing the work for them.
Right. True. They're not, they're not the plumber. Right.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff they don't know. And guess what? Actually, having a contractor on a job with me, I love it because I learn stuff too. So we bounce stuff off each other. Like they'll know the newer codes versus I don't have to keep up with codes. That's not part of my job. I'm actually not even allowed to talk about codes, for the job. But those things like that, like maintaining and humidifiers on the AC, on the furnaces, barely anybody maintains them. Barely anyone maintains them, And I said, do you need a humidifier to the buyers? And they'll say, yeah. If they say no, I'm like, disconnect it. Have your HVAC guy come, disconnect the thing. Don't use it. If they say, yeah, we would like one, have an HVAC person come in and teach you how to use it and what levels to keep it at throughout the seasons. It's important.
So what happens if I ignore you and I keep it hooked up and I don't maintain it because I don't really care? What's my risk?
Mold.
My friend. It's my friend mold again. Okay.
Yeah, your buddy mold is coming back again. So it'll spray too much water inside the ductwork, and a lot of the ductwork has padding inside of it. Some of these have the padding in. Whoever designed that needs to go bye-bye. It's like the worst, the amount of mold
something
and moisture.
For it to grow in, yeah.
It's horrible. So if you have a humidifier and it's spraying into a padded ductwork, disconnect it, replace that ductwork or get rid of that padding on the inside and figure something else out.
Oh, gosh, That's great. So for someone who's listening that just bought their first home, so maybe they did the inspection, maybe they didn't, and doesn't really have an idea of where they should start, what's the first thing they should do? Anything
safety that came on that report, get that done and taken care of right away. And obviously like anything major, but like some things that are major aren't necessarily need to be done right now, right? Like let's just say the deck is in bad shape and that's a major item. And you don't have to use it. Don't use it until you fix it. Do the other stuff first, But anything safety related, get it done. And that goes just for like smoke detectors, carbon monoxide detectors, get them up everywhere. Get them up all over the place. Bail out on that vacation to make sure your house is safe. You have to. Like, don't don't overextend yourself. Don't do it. Not on a house. House has no feelings.
Do not be house poor.
Yeah, don't be house poor. Your house has no feelings. If you do good for your house, it's still, if it has a bad day, so do you.
Still your house.
Yeah, so do you. I can't stress it enough. People just keep waiving these inspections, and people move in these houses and they don't know the next step and the next process with owning a house. They don't maintain the home. They don't know how to maintain the home. Even I'm there for 3 hours. They're there for a lifetime or for whatever the case is. So when I go in to do the inspection, I explain to them, do A, B, C, D, and E. And I always tell everyone, hey, Joe, or whatever your name is, Angie, give me a call. Call me up. If you have any questions on the house at any given time, I don't care when it is, call me. I had a client right before this call. She reached out. She goes, Joe, we just closed. I'm moving in. Can we sit down and talk about the report? I want to bang out all these items, top to bottom, the way, that you would do it. And I was like, yeah, I'll take the time and do it for you. Why not? Of course I'll do that for you. These are my clients. These are lifetime friends. These are lifetime people, right? I'll never veer away from anyone that I've worked for in the past. I'll always help them out. But you just got to get that house inspected and get those priorities down and maintain that house. If heating and cooling system, get it serviced once a year. Fireplace, get the flue cleaned once a year. If you're using it, if you're not using it, you're not using a fireplace, then, don't worry about it at the time. But if you plan on using it, get it serviced once a year. This is home maintenance. These are things you have to do. Filters for your AC and your furnace, or replace them every 1 to 3 months, depending on use, occupancy, pets, carpeting in the house. Check your smoke detectors every 6 months or so, or whatever the case may be. This is home maintenance. This is no joke. This is stuff that you have to maintain. Dehumidifier in the basement, dehumidifier in the garage, keeping that 50% or less at all times. And by doing that, your house will thank you in its own
way. By quietly standing and being strong.
It'll
right?
leave you alone for a little while until it wants to talk, until it had a bad day and a water line will just say, I've had enough of it. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. That's great. Joe, this has been a lot of fun. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Here's what I'm taking away from my conversation with Joe. Please don't waive your home inspection. I don't care how competitive the market is or what the other buyers are doing. Protect yourself. Buying a house is one of the biggest purchases you'll make. You need someone on your side who's going to climb on that roof, go in the crawl space, and make sure that your investment is a solid one. Start with the things that protect your family. Be sure you know where the main water valve shutoff is. And water is your home's worst enemy because it can lead to mold. And it can hide, so you need to find it. The smoke detectors, the carbon monoxide detectors, you need to make sure they work. The hot tub can wait. You need to focus on safety first. Talk to your inspector. Learn from them. Your house has no feelings, but if you take good care of it, it might leave you alone for a little while. Thanks for watching. Launching this podcast has been so much fun. I want to thank you all for listening, and thanks so much for your support. And if you like this episode, please subscribe and also share the episode with someone who could use it. And I've got to say it just one more time. Don't waive the inspection. This is Angie Hicks with Own It. We'll see you next time.